I think it is important to remember our own huge resistance to taking any action under the new President Obama in relation to the allegations of torture and other violations that were said to have been committed by the previous government. And the Obama administration's position was, look, we've got to look ahead, we've got to move on. Now, if Steve Rapp was taking that message around the world, we'd all be in great difficulty. Everyone would be looking ahead and moving on, and there wouldn't be much accountability. The reason I mention that in this context is that it does highlight the fact that leaders are worried.
I mean, this is in our own societies. I mean, you know, there are people that take hostages and threaten lives and want airplanes and want to be allowed to, that want to be enabled to go on and commit horrible crimes. And our policy at least is you try to convince them to surrender. You don't give in. You don't enable them to carry on their crimes. That's just really off the table. That's tough, and it's tough to do in an international system. It's much easier to do in a society with effective police and courts and everything else. But the fundamental lesson is that you need to say, stop, and it'll be better for you and better for your people. And there's going to have to be accountability, and that's the end of it.
What you've got now is a declaration that you would think, if you'd been following the Lee Kuan Yew-inspired debates about Asian values and so on, you'd think, my God, this is going to be a really soft, culturally tailored document which doesn't bear much relationship to human rights as we know it. In fact, the document tracks to a very significant extent the International Bill of Rights, the two international covenants. All of the key rights that we know are in there. Yes, there are some variations in formulations and so on. They'll be ironed out over time. But the fact of making that breakthrough, the fact that a country like Vietnam, to come back to where you started, was party to that is very important. But the next step, of course, is institutionalization. And here we are pretty much at square one. There's a government body that talks in a consensual, dialogical, friendly way, but is not yet prepared or able to take any sort of steps to enforce this. But that's the standard dynamic, standard momentum in the international area. You have to begin with the acceptance of the principles, and then there will be reluctant embrace of some sort of institutionalization. Probably what's going to happen is there'll be a tragedy somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that will compel the governments to say, oh, we can't actually keep quiet here, we can't continue to refuse all sorts of investigations and so on. We'll take an initiative. And from there, I think we'll see over the course of the next decade a gradual blossoming of a more serious human rights mechanism within the ASEAN region.